Hi, it's Mitz. Thank you very much for stopping by. In this video, I want to work in my traveler's notebook. This is the regular sized traveler's notebook from Traveler's Company. Sorry, I should say it's the traveler's notebook refill from Traveler's Company. And I thought I would start the video off by doing a flip through of the completed spreads that I have so far. I don't believe I filmed every single page that I did, but I wanted to share with you what I have done so far. Here I dedicated a section just using one brush marker and just doodled and illustrated a couple of things that I have found on my desk. I thought that would be a fun and simple way to showcase some of the items that I use frequently on a daily basis. Next is a section where I have just slapped on some stickers. This spread I filmed a Journal with Me session. I will leave that linked down below. And here I wanted to catch up on these couple of spreads. The first one is using collage elements from Courtney Diaz. And then this one here, you see these ones are from By Bun. I will leave them both linked down below. They're both very, very talented artists, and I use Courtney's artwork very frequently for many, many years now, and so I wanted to include both of them in my traveler's notebook. Today I wanted to play around with some stencils and stamps, something that I take out from time to time. I don't have these materials readily by my side, and so if I don't make an effort to actually take them out, I don't end up using them. So this time I wanted to really play around with some of the new supplies here, and hopefully you will like the outcome. I really like how it ended up at the end. So I wanted to start off with using the Dylusions small stencil. This one is from Diane Reevely. She is the creator, the artist behind Dylusions, and I've been really enjoying stars lately. You'll notice me doodling stars a lot in my journal, in my daily creative journal, and I wanted to use this stencil and use the new Distress Oxide, or it's new to me anyways. This color has probably been out for quite some time, but I'm just removing the paper behind that because I wanted to create a flat surface. So this is the Distress Oxide. I am going to, instead of using the dome brush directly on the Distress Oxide, I've decided to stamp onto the craft mat, or the craft mat, and pick up the paint that way. You can see me picking that up there. And I actually quite enjoy the dome brush. It creates a nice soft effect, and it doesn't create harsh lines like you do get sometimes with the other blending tool. And of course, if you already have the other blending brush, you can use that as well. Just make sure you start out from the outside. And I'm doing this similar technique. I'm by no means an expert or anything. I'm just someone that just wants to have fun with paint and stencils and stamps. So I'm just trying to fade away towards the inside of the page and concentrate more of the color on the outer edges. And you'll see what it turns out to look like once I remove that. And it is such a pretty soft peach, like a dusty pink color, and it really looks really nice. And I was really, really pleased with the outcome of it. And I still have some remaining paint, so I think I end up using that remaining paint in my actual Hobonichi Techo as well, because I didn't want to waste. I am the type that cleans off the stencil or the like if I were to use stamps, I would clean it right away. So I apologize if this part is a little bit time consuming, but I do end up cleaning the paint off right away and drying off the stencil as well, because I didn't want the paint to kind of stick on there. I don't think it would, because I think with the Tim Holtz inks with the Distress line, you can reactivate it with wetting it again, so I don't imagine it sticking on to the stencil, but I'm just I guess a creature of habit. So moving on to the journal, you can see that I'm just using the excess paint that's remaining on the dome brush and just swatching that onto the Hobonichi paper just to add some color. I will end up watercoloring on top of it or doodling on top of it, but I just wanted to, I didn't want to waste that extra paint. Going back to my traveler's notebook insert, I have decided to use a brush pen and write pure joy, and I used just a simple, I think it was an old vintage map paper, and I tried to do some cursive writing but with an outline, and I'm using the printable artwork from Bai Bun, and I cut that out and decided to stick that onto some paper. I'm going to end up tipping that in instead of sticking the whole thing down. I thought it's quite fun to tip that in, and you can see it once it's complete. I ended up grabbing a stapler and adding a couple of staples just to add some texture or something fun to it instead of just gluing it on. It's always fun to add staples. And of course I will use some washi tape to tip that in. And for those that don't understand the terminology, a tip-in is just adding a piece of external paper, or it doesn't even have to be paper. It could be something that you have, like a card, a greeting card, or ephemera, something that's not part of the notebook or something that is not already bound. I'm just using some washi tape. It could be just regular clear tape. And even Courtney, I've seen her do stickers. She uses stickers to tip things into her journal or onto her page. And so I'm just using regular standard washi tape from Classici to tip in this piece, and I think it turned out really nicely. I really do enjoy these type of elements within my journal, so not like an actual full page tip-in, but a tip-in that's different in size or different in shape, or something that's colorful and stands out. I do enjoy adding that to my journal spreads. The artwork on the left-hand side is also from Bai Bun and her monthly printable. I think it's from, I want to say it was from March, and so I still wanted to add her artwork in here, and so I cut that out, stuck that in there. And same with the pine cone, it's part of the same monthly printable, and I'm adding a couple of bits of washi tape on the edge to add some texture. They don't serve any purpose because the pine cone drawing is I've already adhered it using glue. I just wanted to add that washi tape to add something more fun to it. I'm using my brush marker here and writing down the artist's name, so you can see it's at Bai Bun, and I will leave her Patreon and her YouTube channel down below. I'm trying to mimic the stars on this side with the brush marker as well, and kind of make it a bit cohesive and fill in some of the blank spots, adding a bit of crisscrosses here and there with the little circles. Sometimes I color in the circles, and then sometimes I leave them just as an outline. Alright, so the next one is a journal spread where I wanted to include Courtney Diaz and her artwork. And so I have this remaining acetate, and I usually print some of her background collage elements on acetate. In my case, it's actually called overhead film, and I purchased a pack of maybe 100 overhead film, and so from time to time I like to print out the big collage, usually the background collages on acetate or overhead film, and that's just the remaining bit. I still wanted to include that in this journal spread, so I ended up using some washi tape to tip that in. I'm using the brush marker and wrote out artist Courtney Diaz, and her YouTube channel is Little Raven Ink. The bit that you see off to the right hand side, the background, is actually Courtney's artwork as well, and she made these kita type of rectangle shapes, and instead of cutting each piece out, I just stuck that on as a background. I'm grabbing some of the stencils from Tim Holtz and using the Distress stain. Unfortunately, these Distress stains have been discontinued for several years now. I do play with them from time to time, so I apologize if I'm unable to provide you with a link, but I still use the Distress stains because they're very vibrant and colorful, and they're easy to use. I dabbed a bit onto the craft mat or the craft sheet, but I don't think it was enough. It didn't dispense enough ink, so I'm just repeating the process here off to the right hand side. If I remember to, I will leave the color down below, but like I said, they're discontinued, so I feel a little bit bad about linking something that is not available for purchase anymore. But I grabbed a new dome inking tool, and I'm using one of the stencils from the pack. It had 3 different designs, and so similarly I started from the outside and concentrated more of the borders, or like the border edge, and I lifted that up. It's a little bit hard to see with the lighting, but I'm just picking up the ink from the craft sheet and starting off from the edge. It's hard to explain. When I move inward towards the center of the page, I loosen my grip and I don't apply as much pressure, so that it kind of fades out. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, it's just fun, and it's nice to have a different type of background to a page. Like I said, I don't use my stencils and stamps enough, and I really want to challenge myself to do that more this year. So whenever I can, whenever I have some quiet time without my kids, because once I bring out the stamps and inks and paints, my kids will definitely want to participate, and of course I welcome that, and it's fun to do it together, but sometimes I just want some quiet time, and so this evening I was able to do that. So here is a close-up look of that, and hopefully the shadows aren't too distracting, but you can see how it fades out onto the page. In another video, I will end up cutting out one of Courtney's little monsters, and I end up sticking it in there. And I'm going to leave it here for now. The next Journal With Me session, I will use some of the sewed? I will end up using some of the bits and pieces that you see here close up on the page. Yeah, my sewing machine created this huge thread cluster, but it actually turned out really nicely, and I wanted to share that with you. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this Journal With Me session. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.